Hi. All right. I'm going to kind of go over traditional mate in Argentina, what you need for it, how it's prepared, and caffeine amount, the ritual, and then why it's considered a ritual with Argentinians. So I'm going to start with the materials. So you'll see on this little hot water heater, you'll have mate listed. So you don't want to pour boiling hot water into it. You don't find this in the States typically, but there's a mate temperature. So you want the temperature for the yerba mate to be between 160 degrees and 175 degrees Fahrenheit. And we have the gourd. I got this handy dandy gourd for whenever I'm backpacking because it's lightweight, but it's typically like a wooden gourd. You can use plastic, you can use glass. This is plastic or wood. So I have this little vase, and then the bombisha. This is alpaca bombisha, so it's a blend of metals. And then a little heady at the top of it, you got a malachite at the very top. So let's begin the process. So this is the yerba. It's a bag that holds the mate when I'm traveling. It's nice to not have like the bags that you get at the store because if they get crushed or they start to spill, it's a big mess. So I got it zipped up inside. And it's also a nice souvenir from Chawton, Patagonia. So I got a leather bag, and I'm going to start by pouring in 3/4 full of yerba. A friend I made while traveling, he told me that in Argentina, it's called yerba. But if you go to Chile or other Latin American countries, it's pronounced yerba. So I got the yerba mate, filling it up about 3/4. So a cup of coffee is typically about 80 grams of caffeine, and mate during a session can range around 200 milligrams or more. So I have a mate in the gourd with a cup. I'm going to tilt it so there's a little gap where I can put the straw. So 3/4 filled. You're going to want space so that you can insert the bombisha into it. So for those of you that are regular mate drinkers, I'm not as experienced, so if I'm doing something incorrectly, just let me know. Okay, so 3/4 of the way filled, and I'm tilting the mate to create a slope of the leaves so I can insert the bombisha into the empty space. And then the bombisha goes right here. The next is very important. Can't move the straw. Once it's placed, hangs out there the whole session. Move the straw, you'll get leaves in the bombisha, and it just kind of messes up the whole flow of drinking it. Protect the leaves. I'm going to add a little bit of the warm water. I'm going to try to just pour right into this area where there's a gap between the yerba, because you don't want to pour it over top of it. And this is just to protect the leaves. And I'm going to put this on, turn it on so it goes to mate temperature. I'm going to take the first sip. And it's a very acquired taste. I was invited to share yerba when I was in Mendoza with a family, and I was offered to have it with sugar, which I've never had that option. I tried it with sugar. I usually don't like a lot of sugar or sweet things, and it tasted good, but I think I prefer the traditional way. And this blend that I have is yerba, but it's also mint and ginger. So it has it's a little bit more subtle in taste. You can find a lot stronger mate flavor that's more on the bitter side, but it's definitely acquired taste for most. Then I'm gonna pour the water in, making sure not to get the leaves on top wet. I've been told from a friend, Flava, in Ushuaia. She said, when you get the bubbles, you've done it perfectly. So as long as the bubbles are kind of the foam on top of it, the separation between the bambisha and the dry yerba, that means you're, adding water correctly. Oh yeah. Got the bubbles. Good sign. All right, I'm in business. Got the mate. It's ready to be drunken. All throughout Argentina, it's the largest consumers of mate. You will see Argentinians drinking it morning, noon, and night. I was walking through the park yesterday, and I'm just gonna guesstimate maybe 200 people had their mate, their matera, which is like a leather bag, their yerbera, which is a leather bag that holds the mate, a thermos, and then a gourd, and then bambisha, and in the park just sharing a nice moment of mate. So it's very traditional. Again, the ritual of mate in Argentina symbolizes friendship, trust, and connection, which I thought is really cool to learn about, because you're like, it's just to sit and to talk about what's new in your life or your friends' lives, and you just sit and you talk and you connect. So it's a way of connection. I appreciate the caffeine aspect of it. I know in college I would make French presses of it, which is definitely not traditional in Latin America. They don't put mate in French presses, but I definitely, I like the caffeine aspect, but it's nice to sit down. And when I was invited into the friend's home, her and her family, her mom, her and myself, we sat in a circle, and her mom, who she's called, whoever prepares and refills the mate is called the cebador. So she is preparing the mate for everyone, and then it's passed clockwise, and you drink all the way down. Each person drinks it all the way down, and then it's refilled for the next person. And then when you are finished drinking, you say gracias, and that means you're done. It's definitely, it was cool. It wasn't like a quick caffeine intake. It was maybe an hour of us sitting around the kitchen table, just me trying to practice my Spanish with my friend's mom, and just kind of being present and being still and not thinking about the next move. It was really cool, and it's really sweet to be invited and share in that connection. Cheers.